everybody, it's Biggie. Welcome to Biggie's Auto. So we got some more paint repair on the C4. This is a door. I don't know if you can see here. You see this crack? The door already finished, and I noticed that I thought I didn't have to work at it. But what happened was when I sanded this down, the gel coat of the fiberglass was missing. Now I used a high-tack primer, but for the most part it did a good job on the door, except for right here. So what I want to do, because it popped and it's already cracked, I'm gonna pop that, and that to me feels like body work. So for whatever reason, the primer never stuck or adhered to the bodywork. And I bet you, since this is next to it, I can't get under it as well. But I'd be willing to bet, if I was a betting man, I can't. I can scratch down to the primer, but it's cracked there. I don't know if you can see it. It's like, with all the glare, I don't think you're gonna see it. I don't know. See how that's moving? Watch here at the point. You see that branch moving? That's cracked loose, so that's also a bubble. I don't know if you can see here. Let me get the camera angle. Look under here. See this gap? That's also delamination, I'm going to call it. So basically at this point what we're going to do, we're going to sand the door down. I'm going to take this area up here where this curve is, and this also catches your light. It's what gives the car character too, in my opinion. I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. I'm allowed to have an opinion. You're gonna see this is catching the light, and it's a bend. So to compensate for this here, I'm gonna use a material called metal coat. It's like Bondo body filler, but it's much, I hate to use the term runnier, but it's thinner. So you put it on here, and it's two-part like Bondo. It has its own special hardener, and it has its own, you know, and stuff like that. So it's its own separate system. So we're gonna coat. I'm gonna coat this top here, along here, after I get this sanded down. And then what I want to do is I want to make sure I block it really nice and shape it, get it smooth. And the job of the metal coat is simply for when you have an area where the gel coat came off. It makes it like metal, so therefore the primer will adhere better. Therefore, and then obviously if your primer is adhering, your paint adheres to the primer, it's a better thing. So to combat that this won't happen again, we're going to sand this down and utilize some metal coat. And I'm going to do some sections of video, show you the steps of what I'm doing, trying to explain what I'm doing. And hopefully when we get to the end of it, we will have a much better finish. We'll have a finish where we don't get this, and hopefully get a better deal. So anyway, I ran this simple thing. If you look at the video of on the roof, when I redid the roof, this is the same thing. I don't think you run into this if you have a car that's sheet metal. I think this is more because it's fiberglass. But we're gonna get working on this. We're gonna fix it, make it right. So hopefully when I come back, I'll be in the middle of sanding it. We'll see what we're up against. All right, guys, so I'll give you an update what's going on here. So here's the door. Pretty ugly here. Got this stripped down. I'm not sure. I believe that's the actual fiberglass. It feels smooth, but I'm gonna have to probably put that metal coat on there, just be on the safe side. It's windy as shit today, so it's really messed up, but got the mirror off, so I smoothed all this out, as well as a lot of bodywork was in here that didn't need to be in here, which was causing a wave. So I still got some to do here. We removed the trim piece here at the door because that was all messed up. Had curled paint on it. Just looked real ugly. So basically what you're going to do, you're going to move an 11 millimeter nut here and 11 millimeter nut up here, which you can get from the back side of the door. And then these are just metal clips, and you carefully, I used a straight screwdriver, you're carefully going to pry that out from there, and you'll see the clips. And just carefully, like I said, I use a straight screwdriver, and you just carefully pry that out, it'll come out. Same thing here. To take the mirror off is 2 11 millimeter bolts you can get. You have to put the window down, but you can access them then. So yeah, so this is where we're at. I got it. I did block it. I hand blocked it using a 150 grit on there, on here, to kind of smooth it out. I might have a little bit here yet to do. But all in all, we got all the old bodywork off that was peeling off. There was actually bodywork that was underneath that was peeling off, so we got that off. But unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to skim this with a metal coat, and then I think I'm going to have to block that to get that smooth before we can even primer. So I'm going to give you an update when I do that, but I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to mix up some metal coat. We're going to put that on, let that set up. Alright guys, so I'm back. So anyway, I want to show you something real quick on here on blocking. You kind of like a guide coat, but I'm kind of using the primer that I put on. As you can see, it's black primer on here. I'm using it like a guide coat, if you will. Let me flip it. Okay, you see here these words white? It looks like white. Okay, those are high spots. So what the idea with guide coat is, when you use that principle, I mean, yes, it's a product, but it's also a principle in that you see where the black is, that's a low spot. So what we want to do is we're going to take our block and we're going to sand until all that, if we're able to get it, that most of it turns white, so you don't have the wave. So I'm going to sand. You could also do this with an electric, but you wouldn't be able to hear me over the electric motor. Now, as you can see, that black circle right here is getting smaller and smaller. And that's what you want. Now, the other issue I'm going to have is that ridge you see. So I might have to use the electric anyway, which it's going to be one of those. I'll probably have to pause the video. But it's not coming together real quick. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the video. I can even feel that. A lot of this is by feel, but you can feel it's like a dip right in there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my electric sander. I'm going to use about 120 grit. I'm going to go over this, and when I come back, we're going to see that before I primer it. Alright guys, so I hit it with the electric sander with the 120. As you can see now, that ridge is gone. If you run your hand over it, you can also feel it smooth. But like I said, if you can do that with the whole door as well. You could spray any kind of body work. You could spray a black spray paint, flat black, whatever. You could use whatever color you want. I just like black because you can see the dips easier. And then you can take your straight sander, you know, your block, and you can just run that over the area. And I don't know if you can see here, this is how it is so far. And this is like about 3 or 4 coats of primer here, and with sanding in between to get this as smooth as we can. So this is the last area I have here to primer, and I want to get it nice and smooth, so that way when we put the base on here, it's going to be nice. It's going to be smooth. You're not going to see waves. And when we put the clear on, it's going to really be a nice, you're not going to see a wave, but it's going to be a nice, even shine on it. So that's where we are now. So when I come, I'm going to primer that and we're going to take a look at it. All right, guys, so here it is. There's your, with the primer on there. And while it's wet, you can look at, now there's a little issue here, which I'm going to wet sand it. But I don't know if you can see with the light, even with primer, that thing it's nice and smooth and has a bit of a shine to it. So I think when we wet sand this, we get another coat or two of primer on here. I think when we get the actual base color on here, it's going to be really nice this time. Most importantly, it doesn't pop loose, which all the body work was sanded out of here. There's like zero body work really in here. So it's the way it was meant from the factory with the lines and the curves and stuff. So I'm pretty happy with it. This is starting to set up. Like I said, a couple spots here I'm a little nervous about, but I think once I sand that and I hit it again, it's going to get as nice as this here did, because I had some issues here and it looks like they came out. So anyway, that's the update. The next thing is going to be obviously mixing up some base coat, hopefully here soon, and get some base on here. Alright guys, so I'm back. So anyway, if you like what you're seeing so far with this video, like and subscribe. Hit the notification button. If you're liking what you're seeing, leave a comment. Any kind of positive criticism or constructive criticism, whatever the hell term we're using now, would be appreciated. Anyway, we're going to jump back into it here. So you can see I sanded this door down with some 400. There were a couple spots that I knocked down, especially around here, around the door handle that I got. And repurposed my kid's old swing set because we're going to paint the mirror. So I went ahead, made up this contraption. So I primered, sanded the mirror. So that way we can paint that as well as painting this. So basically, we got to finish masking the bottom. I'm going to have the hood open when I paint, so that's not that important, but I just realized now we got to get that bottom here masked off for some overspray. Other than that, I think we're pretty much going to be ready to spray. So when I come back, hopefully, I've got to get something to mask that off. Hopefully when I come back, we'll have paint mixed up, and we'll be spraying. So stay tuned, be right back. All right guys, here we go. Gonna spray this up. Let's do a little test patch here. All right, here we go. Oh, make sure you go past. I should have done the same thing here. So yeah, I'm gonna keep that overlap. Now, while I have that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our mirror. So holding this camera is going to be a little bit of a challenge here, but so we're going to go ahead and we're going to hook this up here on our stand, and we're gonna give this about 10 minutes to sit up, and then we'll be right back. All right, guys, so the first coat was a disaster, I'm gonna admit it. So I went back, I wet sanded it with 800, and it got a lot nicer. Still got some marks there, which I'm hoping disappear when I get the second coat. Well, this is second, so it'll be the third coat, second coat after the wet sand. So that's what we have. I still got some mixed up, but I mean, as far as smooth with no ripples, it's pretty good. I'm just hoping the sanding marks go away. If not, we'll wet sand again. But my biggest thing was not having the wave in the panel as you look down the panel, and it looks like pretty gosh darn good. So I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm letting that set up for the next few minutes yet. We're gonna put maybe one, maybe two additional coats on. When I come back, we're gonna spray some clear. All right, guys, so here we go. We got the we have clear mixed up. We got about, let's say 3-4 coats of black on there, and we're gonna go ahead and clear it, and let's see what we got. Light right in here. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna let that set up for about 8-10 minutes. Let that gas off. We're gonna put a second coat on, and I'm gonna check if there's any mistakes. In the meantime, I'm gonna go shoot the mirror, but that's off camera, so you guys won't be able to see that. But maybe what we'll do is at the end, I'll show you that as well when we go over everything. Alright, so here we go with the second coat of clear. A little blotchy, so I'm hoping with the second coat, it'll get rid of that blotchiness. So, looks to me, when you stand back here, you can see where I'm at. That pretty much took, there was some blotchiness there. It looks like it disappeared. And it just looks like we have good overall coverage right now. So, I'm going to give this about 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes to cure up. And then, I'll see if it needs to be touched up. We might be good with just 2 coats of clear. We'll see. Alright guys, so I decided to do 3 coats of clear. Let's just take a look at this, see what you guys think. With the black, there's a little wave, but I think that's the way the fiberglass, because there's no body work in this door. And I just felt like that was probably the best route to go here, was with no body work. But you can see, it's pretty, I don't really see a lot of wave. Do you? I mean, there's a little bit. But I think for a refinish in your driveway, I'm going to take you over here where I have the mirror hanging. You can see that's the underside of the mirror. The top. So, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It does seem like probably pretty decent. I think it'll look good once it's all together. I'm going to try and see if I can do a video of it all together. Alright guys, bad news, I gotta run. I forgot there's a family thing going on. I have to run to do that. So before I leave, before I sign off, I unmasked the door so we can take a look at this. Have the hood down. Now it does need to be washed, cleaned up, but figure I'd give you guys a little bit of eye candy before I end the video.